Verily, Allah will not change the condition of a people until they are willing to change that which is within themselves. This is a verse of the Quran. I believe it's chapter 13, verse 11. And the reason I quoted this verse is because I look at this through a coaching lens. And firstly, it speaks about taking accountability. It speaks about developing and improving our inner selves. And that for me is personal development and the importance of personal development. Now, the reason I speak about this is because we find ourselves in this month of Ramadan, where we are fasting and staying away from food and drink during the day. And it's always been my belief that all these acts of worship, whether it be fasting during the month of Ramadan, whether it be performing Hajj, whether it be performing our 5 daily prayers, all these various acts of worship is there to serve us as human beings and to serve our needs in terms of building and developing our inner selves and becoming better individuals. I think many a times we perhaps approach this as fulfilling an obligation and checking the box. But I think it really changes your perspective if you seek what are the actual benefits that this act of worship is presenting me with. How does it make me a better individual here and now? How does it make me a better spouse? How does it make me a better father, a better mother, a better colleague at work, a better friend, a better boss, or a better employee? How does it just overall improve me as an individual? And in doing so, then, how does that change my condition, my overall condition and the state that I find myself in? And in order for me to explain that, I think I first need to explain an aspect of personal development. What is personal development? Personal development, for example, has various areas that you can focus on. There is your spiritual development. There is your emotional development, your psychological development. There is your physical development, as well as your social development. And if I, for example, wanted to improve any of those areas, for example, let's take emotional intelligence, the very basis and the very starting point that I needed to start at is to become more self-aware. It is only when I am self-aware that I can then improve and identify certain weaknesses within me. And what is self-awareness, for example, when we speak about emotional intelligence? Because I want to tie this into the fast. Self-awareness, to keep it short, it means to identify the emotions as you're experiencing them, as you're going through life, as you're going through your day, for you to be able to identify, perhaps I'm not in a good space, I am feeling angry, I'm feeling agitated or irritated. But it also goes beyond that in terms of identifying our strengths and weaknesses. It goes beyond that in terms of identifying how our past traumas perhaps have influenced the choices and the trajectory of our life up until now. So that is what self-awareness is in a nutshell. Now, how does this link up to the fast? Because when we're fasting and we're staying away from food and drink during the day, naturally we become a little bit more self-aware. We start to identify that we're hungry, that we're thirsty. We start to identify that perhaps we're moody. We start to identify that perhaps we're irritated, we're agitated. We could even go as far as identifying the source of why we feel that way. And here is where it becomes interesting, because if we're feeling a negative emotion, for example, during this month and we are fasting, we can then very quickly remind ourselves why we are fasting, and that why is coupled to the intention, which is for the sake of our Creator, for the sake of Allah, then it doesn't just become self-awareness, then it becomes God consciousness. We become aware of our Creator. We become aware of our Creator when we engage, when we speak to people, even though we are angry. We become aware to a level that is the reminder that we need. Now, what's important about this is then taking that benefit of what the fast presents us with and implementing it in other areas of our life, implementing it even once the fast has passed, once this month has passed, because we need to remember that we do not worship the month. We worship our Creator, and our Creator is always going to be there. And it's those little reminders, those little gifts that this month presents us with that we can take with us and implement once the Ramadan has passed. So I wish you all well over this month, and may we seek and reap the benefits that this month presents us with, and persist and continue on this road of personal development even once this month has passed.